Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We're gonna get started.
It's up to her. She said she wanted to start at 6.
Is it?
What did she say?
It's 3.
Two.
2?
Mhm.
Okay.
3, because that's K.
K-Town, okay.
Are you gonna introduce it?
Anybody need translation services?
Yeah. Already have it, so. No.
Welcome, sir. Come on in.
Yes. So I'm not ready.
Bring it.
I thought it was-
Okay.
Hi, welcome, come on in.
Welcome. Come on in. You let me know when you're ready.
I am ready as soon as he walks up to the door.
I think she's ready.
You're ready.
Come on, welcome. Come on in.
Come on in.
That gentleman in the back?
That's her. You never know.
Right.
Thanks for the invite, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming. I'm really excited. We've been trying to do our very best to get the word out. As many people that don't know about it, there are so many people who do, and I just appreciate that you called, that you came. You're going to share your voice tonight. We're going to start off with, first of all, does anyone need translation services? We have Cantonese over here, and they're going to help to translate for you. Otherwise, I'd like to introduce this is our chair of the police commission, Mr. Ricardo Garcia Acosta. We have Shane Williams, who is the chair of the police search APA. She's overseeing the process. And then we have Chief Daniel Hahn, and he's going to be our facilitator. So we wanted this to be extremely engaging. There's no PowerPoint presentation. There's nothing. It's questions being asked, and we want you to say what's on your mind. Okay, we do have a note taker, Mario, who's going to be capturing all of the information. And the purpose of this really is for the commissioners to know what the community wants, so it can help direct their questions as they're interviewing candidates. On the 23rd, I believe it is our meeting in our regular meeting in April, our second of the month. Chief Hahn, you're welcome to come here. He's going to be sharing the findings from our series of community meetings. So that's going to be quite interesting to understand and know. So without further ado, did I miss anything? No translators? Oh, my name is Micah Montgomery. I'm Chief of Staff of the Police Commission. And so I'm here supporting and do the operations for the commission and everything else. But they are the ones that are making the decisions. They are the ones that have the voice. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Shane Williams and Mr. Ricardo Garcia Acosta. And then after that, they will hand it over to Chief Hahn.
So we just wanted to reiterate that we're excited that you're here. It's part of our charter to hear from the community, so you can give us feedback as we try to find the next chief of police for Oakland. So thank you for being here. We're going to be soliciting information from you. Do you want to share anything?
I think the main message I would like to share with folks is one, gratitude for you all being here tonight, to be anywhere with your families and the community, and you all chose to be here tonight and to voice your opinion. That means the most to us. One. Two, there is gonna be a gap of about, I wanna say about 3 or 4 weeks before we start engaging in the actual interview process itself. These next few weeks are gonna be critical, right? Because we've seen, there be a fluctuation of people in attendance in these forums, and those hard to get to at times. I wish I had 10,000 people on my social media following where I could just put out a message and get the word out in masses, but we don't. Hey, how are you doing? And I am hoping that we're gonna continue to get people trickling in, as we continue this conversation. But the important part is to help us spread the word as well. There are community groups, there are other affinity coalitions, there are merchants. Anybody that you all feel that needs to be part of this conversation that may not be here today, we are willing to come to them on these next courses, these next 3 weeks. Now, we won't have the official structure of our interpreters or our note taker, but you will have the ear of the chair and of the ad hoc, and I will personally come to you all. You know, good buddy of mine, Mr. Twan over there in the back, we've had some conversations with him, sir, about actually going to meeting and talking to merchants one by one, face to face. And I'm gonna be taking the opportunity over the next couple of weeks, to be able to hear more feedback as we start formulating our criteria, the metrics for what is important, so that when we go into these interviews and we start talking to these potential candidates for the city of Oakland, we are indeed carrying the voices of Oaklanders into this process. And so, of course, we would love to see all of these chairs filled and have a robust conversation amongst many people, but every voice counts. And this also allows us to have a more in-depth dialogue, and I guarantee you will find, Chief Daniel Hahn engaging and very listening and be able to have a very productive conversation. So without further ado, we're going to introduce Chief, and thank you again all for being here tonight.
Chair, just one thing, everyone, as the room starts to fill, we may need to use a microphone. So just bear with me if that's the case and we need to hear you better for the people on Zoom so they can hear, then I might stop us and get that going. But until then, he likes to just talk to you like this. There you go.
One other thing we want to add, for people who are not able to be here, we do have an online survey that is available for people who are not here to fill out online. It is at our website. Do you mind sharing?
Not at all. It is oaklandca.gov/police-chief.
And if you can't keep that up, just type in police commission, it'll pop up, and at the bottom, it's a separate link for the police search. It has the timeline, the next steps, and the survey is there. So thank you for your time.
And there are Q codes in the back for the surveys in Spanish, Chinese, and English as well.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
So Mike has just talked about the forms in the back. So they look like this. There's a stack of them. Take 1, 2, 3, 4. The survey link is at the bottom of that form. So if you have family, friends that weren't able to be here tonight, please give them that link so then they can fill out the survey. The survey is the exact same questions that we'll be covering tonight. Right, so they can do it online if they weren't able to be here. So the more information you give to the commissioners, the more they can look for those sort of things that you want in your police chief in the candidates that they're going to do. So real quick, they call me chief because in my past life, I was the police chief in Sacramento. So I grew up in Sac, became a police chief and retired 4 years ago, at the end of 2021. Also, on my dad's side of the family all lived here or some still live here. My dad passed, but he grew up in West Oakland, went to McClellan High School. So I spent a fair amount of time in Oakland over my years, either family or, Jeffries and Sweet usually Jeffries. In my younger years, I'm sound asleep during those hours now. I'm closer to waking up than I am going to sleep at the time here on Friday and Saturday. So with that, I want to go over a couple of logistics. First of all, are those the bathrooms still?
Yes.
Yeah.
So through that exit door, there's restrooms if you need to avail yourself. On the back, there's a timeline, but I'll just go over the timeline with you. So we've been at this for a couple months now. Micah and I probably talk at least once a week. We're working out the logistics, but I work for Ralph Anderson and Associates. doing police chief searches around the country amongst several other things I do. And my job is to make the 2 commissioners and the other 7 commissioners' job really hard. Meaning, my job is to get as many highly qualified candidates as I can and make their job hard. Right, like they have to decide between highly qualified candidates. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And so the information that we've already received at the 5 previous community meetings, I asked the things that you and your fellow Oaklanders have brought up. I asked the candidates when I talked to them before, and prospective candidates, to see if they have the things that you have all said. So the process is this. Anybody that wanted to apply had to apply by Monday, the 30th. So it's closed now in terms of applications. I'm hoping the final count will be, 10, 15 or more. We shall see. Some will be qualified, some won't. So obviously, the commission's not going to forward every single candidate that applies to the mayor, because I don't want the mayor shooting at me, and I don't think they want the mayor shooting at them. And so they will actually conduct interviews of the candidates they think are the most qualified at the end of this month and the beginning of May. So about a 2-week period. Over that 2-week period, they will interview the candidates they think are the most qualified. They will then have a few weeks to discuss that with the full commission, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the charter says they have to forward 3 or 4 or more candidates to the mayor. So that will happen hopefully by like May 28th, the end of May, at the latest June 11th, that they will forward their top candidates to the mayor. The mayor will surely do in-person interviews, et cetera, et cetera. There'll be background investigations, those sort of things. And hopefully in July, the mayor will have a candidate that she and the commission are very confident about, and you will hear who your next police chief is. And so these series of community meetings, the surveys, other interviews, things that the commissioners do to find out what this community wants in a police chief is hopefully going to be reflected in your next police chief. Any questions about the process? All right. So I only have 5 questions for you. And Mario's a city employee, and he takes notes. He's taken notes at every single community meeting, and he is the best note taker I've ever seen. Because he puts it, categorizes it from each question and everything very easy to read. So I think Micah or Chair Williams mentioned that I'm going to give a presentation to the commission on the 23rd, I think. That will be the themes that came out of the community meetings, the stakeholder interviews I did, any other information we were able to collect. But the commissioners will also receive the notes. So if they want to get more detailed in the themes, they can read what you all said at each community meeting. Won't have names, or obviously, because we don't know you, they won't know your name. But it will have what you said in the notes. So they will be able to read all of that. So we're not just here wasting your time, they're gonna get all that information. So, first question. We've talked a lot about the police chief, so the first question is not about the police chief, it's the flag shooting, right? So what do you feel should be the top priorities for the Oakland Police Department in general? So the department, what do you think right now should be the top priorities for the Oakland Police Department?
Law
Like crime, address crime, things like that?
That is the number one duty of the police department is to enforce the law.
Okay, enforce the law. That comes up frequently, so. What else? What do you think the top priorities? There are gonna be more than one priority, I hope. Top priorities for the Oakland Police Department. Yes. Ooh.
Right now, we can't chase for commercial burglaries. So if somebody's stealing jewelry, the diamond, and they run out the store, it's property crime, we cannot chase. And if somebody's breaking into a car and stealing a wallet or purses or backpacks, the thieves on social media know this. And they say all that the police can do is they can just turn on their siren for a few seconds, but they really can't chase. So that's kind of out there. We don't want high-speed chases because Kids could be dangerous,
They are.
but we are taking advantage of camera that we have up and running and being able to chase in the air with helicopters and then intercept them around. But it's not good for all the criminals in Oakland and it's all the neighboring cities to come to Oakland and do crime tourism because they know we have a policy that doesn't allow chase.
So a top priority would be somehow address the issue of crime where
There's
commercial,
no chase policy around commercial breweries.
okay?
Yeah. Just to talk about the no chase thing, the reason we're against chasing is because that's the most high likelihood of an officer or an assailant dying. Is chasing somebody for under $500 worth of stuff. So that's why people are against it. I'm tired of people acting like we don't want people to chase the criminals down because we want criminals to get away. That's not what it is. Most dangerous activity a cop can do is chasing somebody down for $500 worth of stuff. So that's why we're against it. So we have a little pushback on that.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a real life experience thing that happened within the last 2 weeks.
Okay,
We had a gentleman get stopped by OPD. He had a gun. He ran through West Oakland on Linden Street. They shut down the entire street, 3-4 blocks. We got no notice except for the officers telling us that they were shutting down the street. Please stay in your home. No overhead helicopters to find this fool, and he was jumping from lot to lot. We have great retinal scan cameras in our community. People have it on their house. I got a photo of this fool on his cell phone. We know exactly who he is and what he looks like. That's how good those cameras are. And I'm not even talking about block. I'm talking about
you're first.
simply safe, right, and rigged. So unless we're gonna give officers the overhead so they could have gotten in a chopper and found this fool, the rest of us are very upset about this no chase or chase because he was running through our backyard with a gun. What do we do when that happens? So, yeah,
So
That-
same
that-
general topic, right? So-
same general topic. One of the things we appreciate is our officers are in our community, so they were on my deck, on my neighbor's deck.
It wasn't a communication issue, it was more.
No.
Chase.
We got the photos, they got the images from the camera, from the whole cameras.
I just wanna make sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
oh yeah, no, we want more communication directly with our officers,
got it,
because we get more done that way.
got it, thank you.
I think a priority of the department has to be recruitment and recruitment. Talk all we want about we should do, but until there's enough staff. I mean, we as citizens that live here in the city of Oakland, we're not getting the services that we're paying our tax dollars for. So we gotta focus on recruitment and retention, keeping the officers that are currently on staff, but boosting morale at the same time. And really recruiting. I mean, we have Councilmember Wong here that's currently in the room.
Here,
That,
by the way, I don't know.
Also,
I do wanna say something, by the way.
supports academies, but we don't get people in these academies and really, again, getting people to be a part of the force. I mean, we're still gonna encounter all of the issues that, you know, several folks in the room have already talked about already.
Recruitment, retention, and morale, is a big part of it.
And speaking of that, is the law or rule still that if a police officer comes from the academy, serves 2 years here, no, he's eligible or she's eligible to put in a transfer to another city?
I don't know if there's a rule in Oakland, but usually it's before you can put in a transfer only anytime you want. You don't have to wait 2 years.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
have probation or whatever the
But you
case.
can leave on probation, if
Okay.
somebody will hire you on probation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they come in back with.
In all due respect to the national search that you conduct, I think the turnover in police chiefs in Oakland is really a national embarrassment. And so that selecting the next chief, he ought to be a person that has a commitment of service to the city, that with the potential if he's an in-service person to love the service of this city. I suspect, without knowing that chiefs that have been promoted from within, and I don't know if you're promoted from within and show a commitment, an unblemished record of service would make a better candidate for the people in general if we would take a long, hard look at their commitment to the people of Oakland. If one went to Harvard and one went to Laney, and he's got a commitment to Oakland, I think that ought to be given the same weight.
The lady's better than Harvard anyway, right?
Exactly.
But that's essentially, I just think we ought to cut a commitment of service and not lose another police chief for the next 6 months.
Got it?
Before we move on to the next questions or the further dialogue, I know we had quite a few people that just joined us as well too. We want to announce that we do have translation services on the side. And we also want to acknowledge Councilmember Wong for being here today. If you want to say any words, and then also Oakland Chinatown Chamber of Commerce, Carl Chan, how you doing, sir? And thank you all.
Chamber.
Oh, there you go. Nice to meet you, and thank you all for having us up in Provo. So I also want to allow them to address the crowd as well too before we get, because I can tell we're gonna have.
No, this
It's on, so thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be quick. My name is Councilmember Wong, and I'm actually not only the council member for this district, District 2, if you don't know, but also I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee, and this is such an important topic. I'm loving this vigorous debate because we really do need to get into these sort of issues when it comes to selecting the new police chief. But first and foremost, I just want to thank each and one of you for taking the time out of your evening to come to this meeting, weigh in, and really voice what you want. Because don't be shy, people. So if you're someone who might have taken your evening to actually come to this meeting, I encourage you, even if maybe you're not somebody who always felt confident enough to speak up. Speak up, okay, you did your time, every voice needs to be heard in this process when we think about something as important as selecting our police chief. So, yeah, just thank you all, and I want to give credit to the police commission. Thank you for organizing these and doing this kind of community engagement, and we're here to listen and hear what you guys want to see. Sure, and I guess I'll take one question, so, yeah.
My question is the elephant in the room, I guess. LeBron Armstrong was police captain or chief, was well loved, native of Oakland. In one person's humble opinion, wrongfully relieved of his duties. Is he off the table or can he be included in this search?
I do not know of any rule that makes him formally off the table, but you have to put his name in, so whether he's actually interested in the job, I don't know, so, but maybe you all have some.
I understand.
The answer is the application is
Too
open.
late.
Well, maybe that person applied, but it was publicized. And
Yeah.
anybody eligible to meet the minimum qualifications can apply.
Okay. Turn it back to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. There would be no issue with me, that, I mean, the commission, if anybody applies, they would go to the commissioner, so. So remember, I'm gonna come back to the police chief question a little bit, to remember what you just said, and we'll remember it. I think there was some other hands up on this side, for top priorities for the police department. In general, yes.
Can I say two?
Yep, you can say 3 if you want.
So one would be community relations, which one of the speakers already addressed. I went on a police ride along with an officer last fall, and she was like the nicest person I've ever met in my life. And she was going out trying to talk to store owners to locate a missing person. And she told me, she said, you know, people are polite, but they wouldn't tell her anything. And she just sees this over and over and over again. So I think that, I don't have the answer, I just think
So
that.
build a good relationship between the police and the community.
Yeah, and then the second thing is better financial oversight. And I'm referring to the OPD overtime report.
I was assuming, I was gonna ask you to clarify that, but thank you. All right. Police budget oversight. What, I thought there was another hand on this side, no? Anybody else on top priorities? Yes.
I believe being present in the present. So what I mean by that is with everything going on and how the world and society is changing with technology, everything else. I think its location here is not gonna promote safety. It needs to be present in the community during the times of when the world is functioning, or Oakland is functioning. So if it was moved, if headquarters was moved to a different part of town,
Police headquarters?
yes, I think the systems and processes of what they actually do would result in different outcomes for the city.
So get facility stations out into the neighborhood.
No, just how they do everything here, and when they go out into the community, everyone knows. From technology, from social media, word of mouth, to businesses, or anything. So if the department moved to another part of town, their systems and processes, everything that they do, would change, now would change the whole.
People would be able to figure out where they're at.
And also with the police themselves, I mean, because now, just coming from one part of town and having to do coverage over here, that's gonna change how they do their routine. Because everything that we do now, we know we have to beat traffic from 880 at a certain time, we know we have to get off 13 at 35.
So if you're up, you go to different locations and sure you know there. That kind of a transition here.
Yeah, the communication between the different departments,
City departments,
well, city departments, also CHP and sheriff. Okay, do we have any correlation with them as far as help until we get our staffing up to speed? Yeah, as far as that's the 12 law enforcement. Yeah, okay, I mean, you got the deputy sheriff, okay, they're patrolling, I believe, Oakland International. So are we getting help from them? Can we call, are we still getting, drive through the city with CHP? Are we still doing that or has that fell off?
I don't know, but we can put that as a,
Yeah.
as one of the priorities to work with other law enforcement.
Yeah.
Sheriff is still, well, they're contracted with AC Transit to actually police those, that line. So it does exist, so that has not stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of along the lines of communication, it seems like, there was a problem with the, citizen ban. Okay, the people, there were crooks able to listen in on police frequency. Has that been resolved?
That's everywhere in the country. There's ability on certain channels to remove this.
Okay.
Yeah, first I want to thank the police commission because this is what I've been telling the chief, and this is for the last 10 chief, chief. It's going to the community and the police commission is doing the right thing. They are actually reaching out to all communities. So one thing that I always have mentioned in talking to the best chiefs is about recruiting men and women serve and protect and making sure that they are more like our city.
So from
Hopefully, okay, so they know us, they know us, so they are part of us. So I think that would be something that we would love to see. But again, I know, council member Wong also know, recruitment is not easy. And also lately, there's so many police departments, they're giving bonuses. And competing, against the recruitment in terms of recruitment. I know San Francisco, they pay what, $50,000 extra to get new, recruitment. So I think, in order for us, people care enough. I know people here, they really care, okay? And I always like to see this, we agree to disagree. We don't always agree with everything, but at least one thing we know we're all trying to do is to keep everyone safe, city. I think we're trying to do that. To answer the question about the highway patrol, I also serve on the citizen advisory board for highway patrol. So they are also in patrol, but I think the point that what I'm trying to make is this: in order for them to say, I am here to patrol, the CHP, for the park police or the county sheriff, they have to have approval by the city council. So what they do, they can actually patrol, so what they are calling their own corridors. But they also work directly with the OPD when they need help, so they will jump in to help. So I just want to making sure that they're still on and helping us along the way.
And the first point was recruit local
Yes.
people that care about Oakland, similar to some of the other
So they
comments.
they look at us.
No Oakland here, got it. Yes.
So that is one of the most, if I turn around, I want to start talking. That scared me. No, that is one of the most important things that, you know, it would be best to get someone from here because.
That's chief you're
oftentimes-
talking about now. right?
Yes, chief, yep, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the question. And so because we have people that come from other places and then they come here and get an aha moment because they don't know the culture of Oakland. They don't understand what's going on here. And in order to move the department forward, they gotta understand what they're getting into. You can't sugarcoat it. We got problems, but we can do something different if you get the right person in there and let them know, well, look at here, let's sit down, you know, during the process to make sure they really wanna come here. Because we don't want nobody to come here for a check. And we don't want them to be here 2 months and say, oh, I didn't know I'm getting into all of this.
Yes.
So the transparency there, you know, needs to be in the questions that you're asking. You know, are you in it for the long haul?
Yes.
Despite whatever, we're down officers. This city really is not loyal to the police department. They don't really have support, but then that's because the community doesn't feel that they're supporting them. So we got to do the partnership.
Yeah.
Whoever's gonna be the police chief and the citizens, you got to partner. You can expect them to do everything. You got to do your part as well. So, you know, we need to move forward and get a partnership. The next person that comes here, you know, we all know who the best police chief was, but, you know, maybe y'all can have him in on the process, you know? And so we need core values because we don't want 5 months down the line, the police chief done with someplace else. Because there's a lot of police chiefs that have retired. So there are like 5 or 6 positions in the Bay Area that are open. And we don't want them to come here and say, oh my God, they're messed up. I want to leave. So we gotta be transparent. We gotta be real truthful with them and let them know what they're getting into and see how they feel that they can play a part in making it better.
So understand Oakland and to this gentleman's point earlier, care about Oakland,
Yes.
want to be.
Yes.
Got it. Anything else on the first one? Yes.
Real-time crime centers. We are short on officers, the cameras and leveraging technology to help the officers that if you do have to be more effective, ask for leads and follow up. So anything we can do, just prioritize that, and build up that center.
Okay, prioritize and build the real-time crime center. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest, have it been considered to have, foot patrol.
Okay.
Foot and bike patrol.
Put that down at the front.
Yeah,
Foot by
yeah,
out of the car.
got it.
Got it.
Okay, I mean, I'll tell you, you see them sitting over in the corner and the crime is going on right around the corner. And it's like, they don't even know it. They don't do anything about it, okay? Even though they hear the noise, they see it, you know, and it's like, it seems like, especially in the downtown area, because downtown Oakland is dried up. Okay, so if we're gonna have businesses here, okay, whether it's Chinatown, whether it's downtown Oakland, whether it's Fruitvale, or wherever, okay, we need to have a more up close and personal.
There's definitely a difference between being in a big metal box and being outside of it.
Yeah, okay, it's,
Yeah.
I second the foot patrol thing, 'cause I read that foot patrol actually, is better for community relations. They're more likely to have conversations with people in the community.
Yeah, there's no barrier.
Trust, the people will trust them. The cars, the patrolman in the cars looks like an occupied force.
Yeah.
So if they're on foot and they're talking to people straight up, that's what they're gonna do there.
It's just usually a good balance.
Actually, so I totally agree that we need to get our officers out of the car, what you just stated is problematic around officers seeing things, not doing anything. But I need everyone in this room who cares about that and making it happen. It goes back to the retention and recruiting problem. Our 911 response times are still out of compliance with the state. And so part of the reason that we roll back on our community resource officers of those foot patrols is because we have a choice between 911 response times or doing that kind of community policing. So if you all care about that, you have to help us recruit more officers for the police department. That is actually what is going to enable us
do that kind of best practice that we do place in.
Yeah, but it didn't that kind of go back, doesn't that kind of go back to what I just asked him about when you get a candidate come into Oakland, make a transfer, you know, without even being here a year, they're here and gone. Okay, yeah, you know, I mean, what to get them to stay here, you know, if they can apply someplace else, okay? If they went through the boot camp and everything.
You hire good people.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
You know, I agree definitely. I think back to your point too, goes a lot into, again, the point of retention. There's so many different factors that tie into retention that the chief is gonna have to look at. It's more than just, okay, I'm gonna keep my folks here, but the laws, the rules, the things that are put in place, how much the community support them, all plays, I think, factors into that. I do want to comment that overarching, in all of this with the police chief, is that you really need someone to restore a sense of safety in the city. From the residents' perspective, and folks who don't want to even walk out sometimes around their. And I'm with the Chinatown Chamber of Commerce, so I represent over 300 businesses, some of which cannot make it here, but that the foot patrols officers have been very, very supportive in this community. They speak the language, they help to build the relationship and help to really kind of, you know, build that sense of trust. Not everybody trusts the police. But, you know, we've been able to work through programs, work with, you know, the police department, find a friendly face or a person that the community slowly can learn and talk to. But again, going back to restoring the sense of safety, our businesses are dying. Our businesses are struggling to survive. People don't want to come here until they feel safe. So we need to restore that sense of safety for the sake of even just our businesses and our residents, and to keep our community thriving. Like our small businesses are working so hard to keep the tax dollars, you know, within the city. And so we've got the police chief is very crucial, you know, in all of this.
So very similar to the first comment about safety and people.
What's for the community? It's community engagement, right? That's the important piece of it.
Yeah, so what's tied into, because I'm listening to everybody, I'm from the East Coast, but I've lived in Oakland for almost 30 years. You know, the stop snitching culture was part of what changed New York's policing and being able to, like, things wouldn't talk to each other, right? They wouldn't talk to the police, nobody trusted anybody. So when I moved down here, because to us, excuse my French, it was bullshit, because people wouldn't do that stuff in their grandmother's neighborhood, they would come to our neighborhood to do it. So, you know, a police chief that culturally gets Oakland, not just because they have roots here or they're born and raised here, but, you know, innovatively, we have to evolve that relationship between the community and law enforcement. Now, I understand, and I remember the crack 80s and how everybody had to have the hustle on and do all of that. To me, looking at that all plays a part, because as this lady said, culturally, the people in Chinatown have a vibe. They understand each other. Sometimes it's nonverbal, right? Every community has that. You need law enforcement that gets that. Because a lot of times they come from other places, like people were saying, and they don't get that. I get it, because I come from a city that's more violent than here. You understand what I'm saying?
So build that trust and legitimacy in each neighborhood.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned you're from New York, now I can hear it.
It's absolutely crucial that we address this, what Chief Mitchell raised, and we gotta push back for it. Is this culture of fear and retaliation within the police department, where they feel our officers are not, that their career could be ruined. If somebody says you're racist, they have to stop what they're doing and spend the rest of their day doing reports on that. And not only do they get in trouble and they get investigated, it's on their records, their career could be ruined, and their commanding officer gets dragged into it. If they're gonna chase somebody and they hit a vehicle, then not only do they are personal liable, but their commanding officer's personal liable. So who's gonna put themselves out there in a dangerous situation, chase after somebody that snags somebody's purse, and you don't get support from your commanding officer because our police policy guidelines does not protect our officers. They feel more supported guideline wise, money wise. In San Francisco, they get paid $50,000 more. We're leading officers to Richmond, that's stealing most of our officers that we spend good money to train and retain. So the need and priority is addressing the culture of fear and retaliation of our officers, and the police chief has to lead that and have to be standing up and be a voice for the police force, because the police chief has 7 layers of oversight and a dozen other layers of, the federal monitor, you know, the layers of oversight. So how can a police chief answer to 7 bosses plus 20 other committees?
Well, you don't have to, he wants to work here, right? Yeah.
I think it's also important that he's good at, understanding and correcting data. Data get you past.
You're talking about the police chief.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the police chief in a second.
Okay.
We still on the department as a whole, top priority. Do you have?
Well, this that.
I saw your hand halfway up.
We're still on the same question, so.
Yes. All right, I'll go to the second one, y'all, get to the police chief himself.
Don't make an assumption.
Very true, very true.
No, he was talking about, the department and the myths that are out there, that the officers, a lot of the officers don't live here, they're from other places. A lot of the officers don't live here because they don't want to be in the same city where they're arrested a bunch of people. Oakland has a gang culture. So I don't want to walk into the store and see Cookie, and I arrested him and put him away. And when they shut him down, they sent him away because of me. And so that's one thing. And then, the word that the police department, they're scared. Well, see, somebody put that out here. That needs to be fixed. They're not, all of them are not scared of, retaliation or whatever. It's just, it went out there and it's just growing and we need to stop it. It needs to be stopped and they just need to be held accountable for what they're doing and what they're not doing. And that's the only way that, the department as a whole could be better.
Well, and a strong police chief can go along.
Well, yeah, we said we put that to police chief, so I talking about you.
We get it to him, we get it to him.
The other thing, someone said about the difference in salaries in Oakland and other places. And the fact is, the Bay Area is very expensive. So often, police officers and other leaders don't live in the city because they can live in Tracy and it's a lot less expensive, or Manteca or wherever. It doesn't have to necessarily do with fear. Sometimes it's just affordability.
Okay, question number 2. What are the most important attributes, skills, and abilities? What do you feel are the most important attributes, skills, and abilities needed in a successful Oakland police chief? So what skills, abilities, attributes do you think this person will need to possess to be able to be successful in your city? Okay.
Get along with the union.
Get along with the union.
Right out of the box.
All right.
Right out of the box, okay, because that's what's killing us.
Okay.
That's why I believe that police chief left, because he came from Texas, and Texas is a non-union state, and we got a lot of strong unions here, okay? So when he came up against the union, he didn't have a snowball field in jail. You know it.
If I can just take a moment to say, my daughter, is living near Bishop O'Dowd High School in our old house. And I stayed in this house for 11 years. And an incident happened to their house. And she kept letting me know a police type incident, not an injury, but shot was fired. And she kept assuring me though, Danny, you can call the police if you want, but they are not coming here. And I was like, what do you mean they're not coming here? And what I found, I'm a pastor as well, at 34th and Adelaide. And what I found is, there are a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people in a goodly number of neighborhoods who don't feel that the police have any obligation or will not come to them if they call. Now, I live it a little differently and I don't feel that way. But where they live, they're getting that notion that the police are not coming here is widespread. So the next police chief has gotta be a man who knows how to pick good people. A police chief can't walk the city by himself. He can't be the community relations man, but he's got to be somebody who knows how to put his hands on good people who can relate to these people, and the response time, even if it's walking time in the city, walking the streets and getting them. We used to be able to talk about a beat officer. I don't know if they even have that anymore. A
It's
beat
come up a
officer.
few times today, so
I'm sorry.
it's come up a few times.
Oh, right, there was and then a commander in that area. I'm talking about, I'm probably the oldest guy here. In the old days, that's how it worked. And just finally, when you've got good people, I really don't know, but what I have read of this Mr. Berry here. Take a long, hard look at people who've been around for 20 years. And have a history of service when you spend a lot of money on consultants and commissions to find another chief. End of my comment.
Very good.
Hey, I think what I've seen as missing is like, Oakland culture is completely different, even from LA in many different areas. And it's very important that a police chief really starts off with understanding the culture, for the culture is embedded from the Black Panther era before, even now. Even from the Great Migration, where families came here in the 50s, whatever it is, right? And so, like, even like, if you look at like Chief Batts, for example, I'm not him, real good guy, good intentions. I think he started off the ground. Anyway, I'm talking about our culture here that I understand, right? Like I say, Chief Batts started off, I can remember meeting him, he said that he was being groomed by the Obama administration. And so he decided to come around Oakland and ask, how people feel about the community, what he needs, and then he saw a killing of a young lady, and that's what inspired him. He had really good intentions, but what I'm saying is that the culture, that a lot of police officers, chiefs, don't really understand the culture here, and if they can really understand the culture and how it's tied into how people feel and deal with the police, it will be a good start of just consciously understanding the community there. Yeah, I just understand that it's just a serious culture divide, and how just the Black Panther, from that Black Panther movement, the people, the generations up under that are still here, and some of the people are still leading that. It's still a divide there. Yeah.
Okay, knowledge, skills, and abilities that you think are important for your next chief.
I would just, back to the data, be able to, not scared to pull up some data, read different, peer review reports and things like that, because that gets you past bias and stuff. And you don't want somebody who's like, oh, we did this in Texas, or we did this, 20 years ago, so we'll keep doing it that way. You don't want that. You want somebody who's not scared to look at some data and.
So innovative.
Yeah,
And new,
exactly,
don't just do it the same old way we've always.
Yeah, and they know what normal tests and stuff are.
So the quality would be, the chief has to be knowing the city, knowing your officers, and knowing what works. Okay, I know some of us talk about a good old time, okay, as a teenager, I used to live on 73rd and across from Islam Mall. That was a real mall at the time, okay? But at the time, we know the officers, they know us, okay? And so for instance, what works? Each area is different. Okay, whether it's East Oakland, West Oakland, Chinatown, either Saigon or Fruitland District, okay? So the previous chief actually accomplished having this, what we call the liaison officers, okay? So I know there was one here in Chinatown, but unfortunately, they didn't have any resources. So we actually have a donated an office space here. So the liaison officer will be basically knowing this area. And actually all the residents in the area, but also businesses, business owners, employees, when something happens, they come to this person, okay? And this person actually know everybody, just like, almost like a walking officer. And for instance, someone in the Fruitland District, hopefully someone can speak Spanish, okay? That will help. And someone in East Oakland or West Oakland, they know the area. I think that's important. So that's the reason why the person not only know the city, like you know your officer, who to deploy to do certain things, but also knowing what works. Okay, it doesn't fit, in one scenario in different areas. So that means that person coming in has to know what works in different communities.
Got it. Knowledge, skills, and abilities that you think would help somebody be successful in Oakland.
Strong sense of empathy and, a drive for community-driven results. And then also a sense of transparency, and willingness to talk about it, I think, is what I would like to see, and then in the police chief, because I feel like for open politics, a lot of people feel like the water and money there, they don't see it enough. And so it's just like the budget gets like, oh, why is the budget so big? Why are we bankrupt, right? So I'd like to see those qualities.
Okay, empathy, transparency, and community driven results. Got it. Anything else in terms of knowledge, skills, and abilities for a successful police chief?
I think as a parent of a young black son, I think the police chief has to have an ability to interact with and have some sort of communication with youth. For a couple of reasons. One, if this chief garners a level of trust and respect among youth, high schoolers, whatever, that'll encourage them perhaps to look into law enforcement. I don't know if Oakland has a cadet program, but some cities, I grew up back east.
I think I just read that they're restarting that
Yeah,
program.
so that's really important, because I grew up in a police family. And because I had brother-in-laws and people who were police, I wasn't necessarily scared of the police, but I also understood the other side, which is the public doesn't necessarily appreciate it. But I think in Oakland, Oakland gets a rap that's undeserved. Again, I grew up in the East, so Oakland has nothing like the East Coast, okay, in terms of problems. But the youth, I think, seem polarized from the police. And I think there are a lot of stereotypes about Oakland youth that, the police chief can dispel those by embracing Oakland youth.
So the ability to make a connection with
Yeah,
young
be
people.
intentional about being involved with youth and being involved in the high schools in particular.
Right. Between the two of you, I'm gonna be scared to go to the East Coast when you guys. Anybody else? I thought I was talking to skills and abilities for your next successful chief? Yes.
A real strong ability that we need is we need a police chief that can be held accountable for the good and the bad. He has to be able to stand up. If he has criticisms about his department and he needs to work those things through, because you in charge. You're gonna have the good, you're gonna have the bad. What you gonna do about it? We don't need excuses. We just need you to do your job.
Accountable, thick skin, kind of those sort of things.
Yeah.
I've heard like the next chief, he gonna get yelled at, you gotta be able to take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We keep saying he.
It's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else, yes.
Yeah, I think in all of this, maybe haven't said I said that already, but really the police chief has to be able to be someone that can navigate the politics. I think you mentioned that this person has to respond to the commission and all these very other, from the community to the state government, the council, various committees, commissions, like the media. This person really has to be able to navigate all of those things. And because Oakland is set up this way, and until we change.
That chief isn't gonna change.
Right, so the person really has to be able to navigate all these things and kind of like what she says. Whether it's the good or the bad, you have to be able to respond to these things all at the same time while balancing everything.
So ability to navigate the governmental structures is really good.
And I just want to reiterate what I said earlier about the chief getting along with their union. Okay, he has to be able to know the boundary of what union rules are, okay, and how far, that they can go as far as work, okay, duties, whatever the case may be. He has to know the union, because OPD has a union, okay? They have a strong union.
California in general.
Yeah, okay, and so, you have to know, and that's really it, okay? When you talk about service, goods and services, okay, whether it's materialistic or whether it's people, this state is run by a union, okay? And you have to know the union rules, okay? So if this police chief comes in, like the other police chief that came before him from out of state, from a non-union state, they're gonna clash. They're gonna clash big time, okay? Because they're gonna say, hey, we can't do that. Okay, our union states this, and this. Okay, our bylaw says this, and this. Okay, so he's gonna have his hands tied, and it's gonna look like he's not doing his job. But it's not that. He can't do his job because of what the union rules say. So whatever police.
Ability to navigate union.
Right.
One quality I wanna see, because what I've observed with police culture is that it can be, since it's like quasi-military, sometimes there's like an old school culture built into police departments, and I think we do have to modernize, like, just given how this generation thinks about policing, which is very skeptical. I need a police chief that is gonna be willing to try out new ideas, to also be someone who can actually inspire the next generation of youth to actually enroll into policing. But I think, of course, within safeguards, we don't want someone who's like so risky that they're gonna like put people, that type of risky. But I do want to see someone who has an ability to think creatively. I'll say bluntly, like the last police chief, when I was asking him around, like, hey, you gotta think creatively around like recruitment, and he just keep on talking about the academies. And it's like, okay, but because we funded now 5 academies that are not filled up. So like, I need you to think about, whether it's, working with community groups, to use social media, like you gotta think beyond just what you've always done. I want an innovator.
So innovative and inspiration.
Yeah.
I think you had that.
Thank you,
Familiar,
everyone.
Thank you.
familiar with, federal law on mostly with the court. Because I think most of crime that happens is because anything and everything that comes over the Pacific will hit court first. And then so, like all the functions, everything that happens there, if it's drivers coming in, businesses getting stuff, they recruit crime to do business for them. And that stuff happens there, so.
Familiar with federal laws and rules, especially related to the court. Got it. All right, third question. This is a little similar to the last one, but specific to leadership. Anything additional that you haven't said already in terms of what do you think are the top leadership qualities needed in your next successful police chief? Specific to leadership. And you might have already answered all those, but I just want to make sure we asked it in case you had additional. Yes.
I think someone who's confident enough to not be afraid of the city council, and to speak his mind. Because one of the things that I can't stand is an ass kiss. I need somebody that can talk to me the way I'm talking.
There's none of that in New York?
Well, you know what I'm saying. Because crime innovates too. I'm from the city out of Frank Serpico and Michael Dow. And if you know who Michael Dow is.
Both of those.
Right. You have to have officers that understand that level of engagement. Because this Oakland is a very, like this gentleman was saying about the unit, Oakland is also a very politically driven city. And there's people that attack the police chief. They are like the arbiter, the representative of the entire department. And I get really kind of sick and tired, because when I sit back and watch my council member or anybody try to step to the cops, I step to the councilman. Because I get a little tired of that. If their job is to help involve our community and they're trying to do that job, I get defensive of the police officer, of the police chief. I was like that with Ron Armstrong. because I live in West Oakland, and he taught us how to recognize criminals in ways that weren't profiling and other things like that. So I just saw a side of how leadership can play a role just by being like your brother or your cousin or somebody that understands the game. Because at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, it has its culture in that world. So I'd like to see.
So the courage to truly lead.
Yeah,
Got it.
yes.
Got it. Anything else on leadership? All right. That was the least talkative y'all were on that question. I had to strike that one. What do you need, what do you feel? So the first question we asked today was, what do you feel are the top priorities for the police department in general? What do you feel should be the top priorities for the police chief themselves? And by that, I'd like you to think like, when they get sworn in on day one for the first 6 months to a year, what do you think the top priorities for that person, the police chief that's leading your police department, what do you think their top priorities should be?
I've heard a number of people speak on here, and I think everyone is talking about this one particular thing and not saying the name of Warshaw. But his job, or her job, is to have a sit down with Robert Warshaw.
The monitor.
The monitor, and ask that monitor. Because we at this point might just as well, in my opinion, make Robert Warshaw the chief of police. He makes all the decisions in this city, any kind of way, with a paycheck that far exceeds what the chief makes. He's making upwards of near $2 million a year out of this city, out of my tax dollars. And moreover, and most importantly in my mind, the fact is he has this much accountability. He has never been held accountable. 20+ years of monitoring this place, and he's never been held accountable for any of the stuff that goes on. He just keeps changing goalposts, and he keeps pointing his finger in directions that is mind-boggling by my standard.
So if I hear you correctly,
Make that.
meet with the monitor and get some sort of understanding.
We need to have a real understanding because Robert Warshaw's understanding, to me, looks like nothing more than how can he get this to keep, he's on a freight train. The man's on a freight train. He's gonna get off $1 million+ a year to show up 4 times a year.
Right.
Four times.
Rochester, New York.
Shows up 4 times a year and does.
Okay, so one of the priorities for the next meeting
Nothing in that.
is meet with the monitor and get some sort of understanding. What else in terms of priorities for your next police chief? Yes.
All right.
Nope.
That's a pretty good one.
That's it. A second on that one? All right. Yes.
To ask questions and understand. You need to ask
Of
questions
Oakland.
of Oakland, ask questions. Through, the people that work there, that's been here to, like Beard, if he wasn't, he's been here
Oh, ask questions of people in the police department.
in the police department,
Gotcha.
what they need, what they're looking for, what they're not getting. So he know what direction to go, cause
Okay.
what better way to find out except for the people that are doing the job. Yeah.
You want to go?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would support that as well.
Okay, second on that. All right.
What she's saying, I think too, because the mayor, I guess, can fire. At will, the police chief, I think, yeah, so I would say, sit down with the current mayor.
So get with your boss.
It was involved because they all have an agenda and a direction, that they're filling, and just get on one accord, cause I've seen the same police chief just regurgitate the same thing that the mayor was saying, and they gotta be independent mind and speak the facts versus the statistics that's,
So meet the mayor. All right. There was another hand somewhere. No? I know you got something on this one. Our priority was the police chief.
I thought we were out from under the monitor.
No, sir, that man is gonna,
Yeah, monitor. And she
Until it's cut off.
Don't get her started again.
What the real.
Yes.
So I assume you're gonna hand the police chief a set of priorities that come out of this meeting?
Well, the police chief will definitely be able to have the notes. So
Yeah.
he'll be able to, he or she will be able to read everything all 6 communities say.
Right, so I,
Which will actually be really good
Yeah.
for somebody
oh, yeah.
to be able to see
Yeah.
before they even start, what does their community say.
These are being used to like craft some of the questions to try to solicit the best.
Right, but I think the police chief, whoever they are, is gonna have questions about, well, what are the priorities of the people of Oakland? And so your list would be a good.
I would
starting
hope.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, that's part of
Well,
it.
and I'm sure they'll also, once they start, get out to the community and ask some of those same questions.
Okay, so where I'm going is that I think the police chief should, maybe with some trusted advisors, decide on what his or her top priorities are and then communicate them to everybody.
Gotcha.
Cause then,
Everybody being internal to the department and the community, right?
well, especially the community, so I think one of the, I should have said.
Set some
communication
priorities.
Skills would be a part of a valuable asset in this job. Yeah.
So listening sessions that lead to priorities that are well communicated.
Yes,
Got it.
well said.
Yeah, I wanna add to it, she hit it right on the head. Somebody that actually, embodies leadership, right? They can actually shift the mind of the community when they're confident, when there's somebody who could stand on their own. One of the things I gotta tell you guys, I don't wanna get a poo-poo, is when Kirkpatrick was here. She actually not only defended the officers, but she actually, when I met her, the first time I had talked to her, I was like, where are you from? She said, I'm from Memphis. She shut me down because if you've been in Memphis, you understand how violent it is, right? And I was like, that little lady from Memphis, Tennessee. And she knew and understood a culture in that conversation to me without even having to go through the pontification of it. So leadership that can actually be confident enough.
That the community looks at and sees a
Yes.
leader.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
May I just riff on that, please? Because I can riff on that, yes. I also met Chief Kirkpatrick. And as I understand it, she was a lawyer. And so she understood the law, and so that one of the big pushbacks on her apparently is that she had reasoned, responses for why she would or would not impose discipline or follow along with certain recommendations. Because she said, hey, listen, I understand the law, I understand the policy, and these things dictate that I can't make it feel good. It just has to be what it is. Feeling it, like feels and the reals are two different things. She understood that it really had to be about what the actual facts and law and policy dictated, not about what someone out there looking at it from the outside with limited understanding of law and policy could understand. She was willing to stand up and defend what she thought was defensible and point out where there were problems. That's a leader. That's a leader. If you say, hey, I'm for this, and I'm for you, and again, one last thing, and I'll shut my mouth. One last thing. She was willing to admit, I don't like the way it looks. And therefore, just because you can't doesn't mean you should, officer.
So you want to know Ann Kirkpatrick in the next chief?
Yes,
What
just
you think?
because you can't does not mean you should do that thing, but you did everything lawfully. That's.
I'll let them go, then I'll.
I think you had it.
The only thing I was gonna say, and the room has already said it many times, but, don't think that you have to look beyond where you are to find the next shiny new thing. We've mentioned Ron Armstrong many times, but, if one of the current candidates has been in Oakland for many decades and has shown a commitment to Oakland, don't dismiss that option just because you're looking for somebody new and shiny from outside of Oakland.
Amen.
Now, just because someone's in Oakland doesn't mean they're the best for Oakland.
That's
You
right.
know, that's what I guess will be evaluated, but it seems to me that there is a candidate who embodies a lot of what we've talked about, which is commitment, been here a while, knows the community, et cetera. So sometimes there is a tendency to just look for some shiny new thing and bring somebody in from somewhere else just because they're from somewhere else.
Just wanted to piggyback on what she was saying about, Kirkpatrick. She realized that a lot of the problems that the city was having was within the city.
Yeah.
There was a lot of corruption going on in the city, okay? And she was saying, I'm not gonna be a part of that, okay? And she was trying to weed herself away from it. And she was being told, you either get on board or you get out.
Okay, now she didn't.
That's doing great, you know.
Because she brought up, and everybody pretty much consistent of the same thing, so I want to ask, because the trusted advisors, she said, and then she said, Warshaw, is that's been a serious issue here in that we have so many different police chiefs with no trusted advisors to really lead them on the right path. So I believe that even if there's a way to get the past, police chief to support this one, and then, second thing with regard to Warshaw is that Chief Armstrong was the first chief was one strike away from getting us out of the, situation, whatever you call it, right? Even if y'all not going to look at Chief Armstrong for a candidate, then with the information that y'all gathering, that y'all can use him as a consultant to figure out what techniques he did successfully to almost get us out of that situation with Warshaw. I think that'd be a good technique to where we can get out of it.
Yeah, I'd say trusted advisors would be the last, 5 to 10 chiefs that
That's
over
not-
decades worth, so, it ain't that, like, they've got, only 10 years worth of experience amongst a whole lot of them. That's a good bunch of trusted advisors. They can tell them where they, where they took a dump in the wrong place and how, how they weren't able to turn it around.
But they had that 4 year experience kind of time.
Right.
No, all right, okay, last question. What, so the people that are going to be considered by the commission to weed that down to a small finalist group to be forwarded to the mayor are not gonna be brand new police officers. These are gonna be people with a lengthy history, probably 20+ years at leadership positions from wherever they're at, either internal, external, wherever. So in terms of their background, what would give you confidence in somebody's background that they could be successful in Oakland? So like, what would you look for in somebody's background that you would, if you saw that, you got, okay, this person might have a shot at being successful in our town? What kind of background? Yeah.
Being from here.
Being from here, being Oakland or Bay Area or what? Oakland, got it. Being from Oakland, yes.
So, you said, well, we wanna. And
Yeah, what would give you confidence that I think this
we
person
gonna
has a
see their
shot?
background now? Are we gonna know their background?
Oh, they will have to, every person that is selected will have to go through a background unless
I'm
they're.
talking about the public. I know their selection committee is gonna know their background, but how are we gonna know what
You
their background?
definitely know their public background, because just about, if you are a high ranking law enforcement official, you got all sorts of stuff on
They might.
the internet.
So
Yeah.
My son was murdered here in Oakland. December 31st, 2010. He was a senior at Castlemont High School, honor student, heroic act, where we were on our way to church and Case Gang and the money team decided they wanted to fight. And so my daughter was shot first. My son ran back to the car to get my daughter's 5-month-old daughter, and he was shot and killed in front of all of us. So I've been dealing with every single police chief in this city since 2011. I worked with Ceasefire for 6 years. I'm the chair of the Violence Prevention Coalition, which I'm about to step down, but I'm the chair of the Gun Violence Subcommittee. I do a lot of things as far as public safety. So the person just gotta be honest with the people. You know what I mean? And those that are selecting that person, we're entrusting you to give us the best candidates that you got. And, that's a, something that we're asking you to give us the best candidate that you feel is gonna do a good job in the city and is able to work with, because I'm gonna meet with them too. You know what I mean? And so we just have to, we trust y'all to do what's best for us, whether it be somebody from here or it's not somebody from here. A woman, a man, we just want y'all to do what's best for this city.
And we
So
love
if I hear
to see
you
it. That's
correctly,
what we hear.
if I hear you correctly, you'd like to see in their background a history of community trusting them, interaction, those sort of things, and then, because they will have a background. These are not gonna be new people. These are gonna be people that have a lengthy history, so you can go talk to a community member. What does the community feel if they're from somewhere else?
Let's see, but the most important thing is the visibility.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I never saw Chief Mitchell on the street. I see him in meetings, but I never saw him on international. Cause my offices are on international on the Blade. I work with those young ladies as well. So we gotta have somebody that's visible here and there, not just in meetings, you'd be downtown and, oh, there's the police chief with his guards, of course. But, visible to international.
Well, it's hard to build trust if you don't know somebody.
That's
right.
right. Yes, right.
We used to see LeBron at barbecues. Seriously.
I believe it. I used to see LeBron at barbecues too.
You're asking us, I guess the question of the question.
Can you answer the question? Yeah, what would give you confidence in their background? That they have a shot.
Right, I mean, I appreciate the question. I think before you even ask us that, I have a little bit of distress with the commission. And I think for a forum, I want to hear from the commission a little bit more in terms of really how are we looking at these candidates, right? I know you can't give us some of the details, right? I want to feel a little bit more confident that, we're all giving us your feedback. Are you really gonna take our feedback? Are you really hearing what we're saying? Are you really hearing the needs of what the community wants? I don't know that. I mean, I didn't go to the other ones either, but like, just everyone sitting here, I'm just putting it out, right?
Well, yeah, we
And
introduced
I know we can, have a conversation later, but I'm just reviewing the question a little bit, just around that, right? And I know you all have dedicated a lot of time to be in the roles that we're in, right? I'm not trying to diminish it, but I just want to share that as a community person sitting here and you're asking me a confidence question. I want to feel confident that we're empowering whoever or you all, right, to review this panel. Like, are you taking our community feedback and how are you taking that into account? I just want to hear a little bit of that's what I said.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'll say I'm born and raised in Oakland and everything that you guys have shared, I have a lot of sentiments with that as well. We take this very seriously. That's why we're volunteers and we're here to hear from the community. But rest assured that it's our charge to present the best candidates. We have to present some to the mayor and she will select from that grouping of 3 to 4 candidates that we expect to give. And we also, I can only speak for myself, think it's important to have somebody who understands the culture of Oakland. We are unique. And of course, we would like somebody who has ties to the Bay Area, but we have to look at the preponderance of candidates that we get. And we have to compare it with what things are similar. I mean, just as it was already said here, just because you are in the police department, and you've been there for a long time, are you the best candidate in comparison to the other people who apply? I don't know who's applied yet, so I can't speak to the specifics of it, but that is why we're here to see what I personally align with and what the community is. Our charge is to bring everything we hear and use it to help determine how we move the selection panel forward. So our first part is going to be to review all of the notes, see where the similarities are, look at the surveys, and create questions to capture some of this information. So when we interview the candidates, after we review their backgrounds, we look for some similarities to maybe demographics of Oakland, or are you from Oakland? And how do we weigh that information? And then also look at, when we interview them, how we solicit information about some of the things you're speaking to. How do we get information about confidence, love for the city, community probation, constitutional policing, which is one of our major charters. So that's why we're here, is to gather the information to make sure we do try to present the best candidates for Oakland to the mayor to make that final selection.
And if I may, I really appreciate that question, because we have held a task about this, right? We're not in it alone. We work with the city administrator, secure Ralph Anderson Associates, and the chief himself that has many, many years of experience being the chief, right? So we're working together as a team to try to narrow that down and answer those questions. In one of the recent, TV interviews that we've done, they asked us, well, what are your questions? What are your metrics that you're judging them against? We're like, we don't know yet, because we want to hear from the community first. We want to be able to bring this feedback into those processes so that your questions, your feedback, everything that you're expressing here, we're carrying that into that process with us. In addition to these 6 community forums, we've had, I think, over 160 responses now, for our online, survey that we have online. And we're hoping to get to at least 250. We're trying to make a last minute push this last month. And we're gonna work with our professionals. And we're gonna synthesize these things, put together all the common theme, and carry that in with us. One thing, and Commissioner Williams is being humble here. One of the reasons why she was picked and assigned to be the chair of the ad hoc is that she's the chief correction officer of San Francisco County Juvenile Probation.
You have a chief of probation?
Yeah, but you're the chief correction officer, and she is in charge of juvenile hall. She has made executive hires, right? So that was also very strategic, to be able to select her to help lead this process, along with our search firm and the ex-chief, and with all of you all here. So we take this serious. You have our commitment. As she said, we're born and raised in Oakland. We're Oaklanders through and through. And we want to see the safe city. We want to see all these issues, and we hear the concerns, and we really take that at heart as well. So, the proof is gonna be in the pudding, so we got a lot of work to do as well. So I really appreciate that question,
Yeah,
because
thank you
you
for
all
that.
should be asking that of us as well, through holding to the highest.
And let me just add, that this is the 6th community meeting. There's been multiple commissioners at every one of the community meetings, and they're just like you. They got lives, they got other stuff to do, just like you do. And so they're showing up, and we didn't meet last week, but pretty much every week since we started, we were all on Zoom, the ad hoc and me talking through all these things, giving feedback on what the community meetings have said, what stakeholders have told me, updates on the search process. So they've been very, very engaged. Yeah. Yes.
I had a question for them since they asked it.
But you skipping my last question, right?
Nah, that question was good, but they opened it up. No, they opened up more further because I never got a chance to actually address the commission in a sense. I've been in a room with them, but personally, from your point of view, number one, what made you actually want to be a commissioner a commissioner to represent Oakland or speak for me? And then, because what I observed that I've seen some commissioners be so far to the right that it don't even make no sense. Right? And so I don't want that thinking. It has to be a balance within the commission to speak for me. And that person was just so far off to the right where I'm like, what is the process of him even thinking of hiring this police chief? So just more from your point of view, what made you decide to want to be a police chief and take on this responsibility to represent? I'm sorry, Commissioner. She's my grammar check.
So I'll just say a little bit,
Wondering why she kept elbowing.
yeah, I'll just say a little bit that I do see what you're saying there. I'm not anti-police. I'm actually a sworn person. I have my own badge, and I've been in probation for over 25 years. I was in Alameda County for, I think, 23 before I went to San Francisco. And so I feel like I can contribute to the commission because I love the city, and I feel like I can provide some perspective to the police commissioner. And so that's the reason I volunteer my time, because I don't have a lot of it, with a family and a full-time job to be here. So that's just a little bit, and I don't want to take away, because we're here to really, I think it's important to hear a little bit about why we're here. So I'm glad that we're engaging, but
I ask that because by me understanding your point of view, then I know you'll represent me well, and I'm not gonna challenge your selection.
Well, we have a diverse group, and so we have, and we're very good functioning. I know there's been a lot of talk about the commission. I think that's a good thing that you brought it up, because the elephant in the room is that we fight. We don't get along. We don't like the chief. We actually work well with Chief Mitchell. I felt like we made some progress with him. I'm a newer commissioner. I've only been on the commission, I think, now a little bit over a year. But I don't know about the past, but I know this group, we get along well. We don't always agree, but we do function we function at a high level to support the city. And we have diverse experiences, backgrounds, and opinions.
And I'll just add that they are a huge part of the process, but they don't pick the chief.
We do
The
not.
mayor does. They also went out for the election.
And again, I hate to bring up LeBron again, but I remember when Shane Fowler fired him. And as an HR person for over 30 years, her manner in doing that, and you weren't on the police commission, obviously, when that happened, but that pissed off a lot of people. Because the process of fairness and using and politicizing that termination is exactly what got her recalled. She may not know that, but we know.
She know.
So,
Yeah, I'm sure she
that, never, in my opinion, it really should not have happened again. She could have gone over to Vietnam wherever she went, came back, she could have put him on administratively, she didn't do that. And I really thought that the police commission should have stepped in a little bit more and said, hold up.
Yeah.
This is too political even for us.
Good.
So that, I have to leave this message tonight, because if y'all are gonna represent me, that was a mess.
Thank you for sharing. We'll put it in another.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I say something for the record real quick? Because there's a couple things and we've known each other for quite some time. Couple facts, just fun facts. I was actually on the second time the police commission submitted LaRon Armstrong's claim to the mayor. We actually got retaliated against by that mayor because of submitting his name again. And we did that because that's what Oaklanders wanted, and Oaklanders wanted his name, and we had to pick 3 candidates. And guess what? He was one of the top 3 candidates, and we're looking on paper, and so we submitted that. We had the courage to do that, and we'll do that again. We invoke his name tonight quite a bit of the time because he is a son of Oakland. In my opinion, he's probably the original son of Oakland. I have a 25-year background and career in violence prevention and gun violence reduction services, both here in Oakland and in San Francisco. In 2016, I was the first violence prevention liaison for the city of Oakland. I was working between homicide families, shooting victim families, the city of Oakland, and the police department navigating the ceasefire units. One of my main partners in that process was then Chief LaRon Armstrong. I saw his story, I saw how he represented the city. And without getting into the details of why he's here or why he's not, there was a lot of things that he did that brought a lot of things to the city that there was a lot of people that had confidence in him. His son was killed in West Oakland. He knew what it was like to lose somebody to gun violence. He knew what it was like to, we said as a joke earlier, but really to show up to the barbecues and be one of us. So we don't take that lightly, and whether his name is in that stack or not, we are going to be looking at those type of qualities and that type of love for Oakland, because that's the type of love for Oakland that we have. I work 40 hours a week between Oakland and San Francisco, probably more than that in this gun violence reduction world, working with young people, working with impacted families. Most of my time has been bouncing back and forth between cities. And I still do an additional 15, 20 hours a week to serve on this commission because of the love that we have, because of families like you, ma'am, Ms. Grisham, we could never bring people back that we've lost, but what we can do is try to do better for our city. And so you all have our commitment, and believe me, I can take a microphone, we can talk all day, I love talking on the mic. But we really want to hear from you all tonight, and that's why we have been here silent and just kind of listening, because part of our role is to shut our mouth right now and just to listen and take it all in. But we do want to say that we sincerely are taking everything in, and we're not just checking boxes. We're not gonna just go back and say, all right, we did our sessions, check that box. No, we're really gonna take this in, and that's why we're also here today, so we can hear the stories, we can feel the pain, we can feel the frustration, and really take that into all the decisions that we make. This question.
And we done talking. Do you really, in the charter, does it say that we need to have a police chief right now? Do you feel that Oakland, you don't feel that we're kind of rushing this process? Oakland needs to heal from losing Chief Mitchell. And so we're rushing into getting another police chief. I personally, as a citizen, been here 60 years, I might not look 60, but I've been here 60 years. We gotta heal somewhere. I mean, the process has already started, but at any time, do you guys think we're not ready to do this? Cause it's kinda like, he just left in December. We gotta,
I appreciate the question, but, we don't have a timeline in the charter about how long we have to go till we hire a police chief. But we do believe the business of the city needs to be
we have
handled.
the intern chief that's been here for
Well,
20
Interim,
I can comment on that from my opinion. It's not great to have an interim chief for a long period of time.
Right.
Because inside the department, people are trying to decide, do I really want to jump on board with this? Because this person might not be the chief in 6 months, so I'll just bide my time. So to really get things going, having an interim chief for 2 years is usually typically not a great thing to do. We're still on the question of anything else on what you would like to see in somebody's background that would give you confidence.
I wanna push back on that because interim chief Lear, since he came, he got 12 officers or so to come back.
I know.
That says a lot, yeah.
Absolutely.
It does.
He has, so it's also the person that's in there. And he knows his department and he's got their back, they're coming back, and that's what we need, because we're leading 6 officers every month. Severely understaffed, we got rid of traffic enforcement. And community resource officers that walk the streets, we got rid of homicide investigations, we got rid of crime prevention. We really need our officers, and he's inspiring people to come back, retention. So I wouldn't totally dismiss that. I know we need a permanent chief, but we also need a good chief that inspires our officers.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah, so since you mentioned about the recall and also the Armstrong, so I want to talk about recall. I didn't spend the last 2 years with it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about Armstrong. You'll be surprised. If you walk down in Chinatown, you talk to anyone, even though they don't speak English, they all know Chief Armstrong. Okay, they all know Chief Armstrong because they like him. And Chief Armstrong became, and in fact, when he was being fired, the China all fired, he got upset and he supported him and said, wait a minute, But anyway, the point is this, we want to have someone like him, has taken.
I was gonna ask, why did they like Chief Armstrong, right? So,
Taking the game, he cares. So anyone coming in, as I said, has taken the game, but also, already knowing the politics, what is talking about the union. Remember, the chief coming in, the person has to understand, you're not only working under the commission, police commission, the mayor, administrator, and they're dealing with all different communities, okay? And so that person has to have a knowledge about it. And also, we did mention about the monitor. So someone's coming in already.
I
has
heard about the monitor.
The knowledge about the monitor, how to do it. So someone local and, someone talking about, within the department, I think it would be great. Someone already has the experience. I think that would be someone that would be highly, esteemed already. Now, talking about someone from our state. Now, as I mentioned earlier, about at least 10 chiefs already. People came out from other states. You gotta remember, number one, they gotta make adjustments to knowing everything. But also coming from our state, you gotta find a place. You gotta deal with your family, okay? So it's a lot of things. I'm not saying it's bad, okay? But it's a lot more than, just someone locally can, I mean, I would say, just take the job and, keep running, okay? And rather than someone just new coming in, I'm not shutting down people out of state, they're not qualified, I'm not saying that.
Just added challenge.
Yeah, it's much added challenges, so if someone would be within the department now, it will be perfect.
Anything else on that? Yes.
I just want to comment on what you were saying, but do you really feel that a chief of police will make a difference in how the police force actually works right now? At this moment, do you feel like a police chief will really make a big difference?
I do, because leadership matters.
Just I said the same thing, leadership.
So who's leading the police right now?
Him here.
Okay. And how is that working?
I don't live here, y'all.
People? Yeah. See, this,
Sounds like a couple people at least in here think it's going well.
well, this is what I'm saying, we're so concerned about getting a chief, okay? The police force in general needs to be enhanced or encouraged, okay, to get out among people You know, you don't need a chief to tell you, hey, go out there and be cool with big folks, okay, that kind of thing. You know, they should do it systematic, they should do it on their own, okay? But it seems like the police spend more time running the crime than actually enforcing the crime. And what I mean by that is, you know, just a police car in general invokes fear in someone who's trying to do wrong. So if there's more police presence, okay, whether it's boots on the ground, whether it's a car, whether it's a helicopter, whatever the case may be, if there's a police presence, there's less likely that a crime will happen, okay? We keep talking, well, not we, but our mayor keeps talking about how crime always go down in every city during winter time, even back east, okay? You know? Yeah.
No, I'm not going anywhere where it's 10 degrees.
Yeah. Okay, I know the crime rate goes down, but summertime, the summertime gets here and the kids get out of school, okay, it goes through the roof. Okay, you know, you got more juveniles out there doing more crime, you know, more snatch and grab, okay? All that kind of stuff goes on during the summertime, during nice weather, okay? So, you know, whatever the police chief is going to enhance with this police force, it should be happening naturally. It shouldn't be happening without somebody in there telling, hey, go out there and do your job. Really?
Well, and there's a lot of things that go into what officers do every day, systemically, so of course, chief is a big part of that, yes.
One of the things that he reminds me of is right, the summertime, we need to engage the community, like the basketball league, all those other things that they have, that the law enforcement was always a big advocate for that. They were always midnight, and it wasn't just midnight, it was just constant. And so they were part of the community, they were of the community, and that changed the mindset even of the criminal element that tried to come into the community. It's like, no, he's cool. There was a respect that came out of that. And I'd love to see that.
To answer your question, it would be, I guess, implementation of infrastructure successes. So if it's the school, if it's transportation, or if it's even anything with our infrastructure, AI, because the AI is taking over, you know, how we do our everyday functions. So if this chief has had successes in putting, you know, implementation to the infrastructure, I think that would help as well, because everything with the school district, everything with the port, there's things changing around here in Oakland, that once that chief comes in and realizes, oh, this part of the infrastructure is changing, it's gonna change how they do everything with the police.
Yeah. I would just also like to second the sports leagues and bring those back. I think that they are submitted, I've had other friends who are in the community, who play sports, remember that. They grew up and they all
Remember the officer being.
Yeah.
Either part of the game or there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that would be a thing. Okay, I'd just like to echo.
So a third on sports and the police department.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, yes, definitely someone who's a leader and, we're gonna back on the whole retention piece of it, is that the officers don't feel supported. You're not gonna have officers that will want to go out there and be a playing even a league or even whatever, doing some of the extra things, because they're gonna get criticized outside sometimes in the community, like, oh, why is that officer spending their time playing ball? Why is this officer doing this? Why is the officer going out to go support their fellow officer who just passed away? So I just want to throw that out there, that having that retention piece, that the chief really has to turn around the morale within the department, and of course, that itself will then, those officers, of course it will impact, those officers will also tell the folks, like, yeah, our department, our city is the place we want to work at. Because that's what's happening in the other cities, those officers are telling other officers, oh, it's better to work in those cities. So so the chief has really got to do some internal work, and of course, the external is just a lot of everything that doesn't really need to be repeated at this point, and then I think to what everyone says, I really also agree on understanding the cultural Not just even logistical side, the politics, the law and all of that, but there's a certain culture that, you know, if you're able to select someone who's, you know, understands just Oakland and nature.
Yeah.
You know, you take off just several years alone, or just that person learning it. Oakland's really all about for year.
But yeah, he triggered a good thought too, with the AI, is that, so I would start off with understanding culture, specifically Oakland, the history of the division between the police and the cops and the growth or changes. Forward thinking, that they said, so my forward thinking and thinking in the area of technology. I kind of like, in a sense, it's intriguing to see kind of like San Francisco, how they're using drone technology. Kind of alleviates from a lot of the chase. I've seen how they kind of use drones to kind of follow somebody.
Car chases and foot chases.
Yeah. So just forward thinking and understanding technology and the future of that, but keeping it safe away from the collecting.
Right.
And keeping us still safe, but still using technology, to keep us.
Which is all part of implementing technology, right? Address the negative aspects that could happen,
Yeah.
but use it for the positive.
The positive and forward thinking, because I see that drone technology that they've been using to capture, it saves some lives, and it's kind of, instead of chasing, they had the drone following and kind of did some intersections there. But still keeping the data safe away from negative FBI or immigration, ICE and stuff like that. I think that'd be really good.
Chief, to that point, and I also just add, what we've heard in other community meetings as well, is having somebody that knows how to engage the private sector for those type of investments.
Yeah.
You know, because San Francisco, they're right in the tech world, they get $10 million investment, they got a new data center, new crime watch center, right?
I know.
So, yeah, so we do need somebody that knows how to engage and build those relationships. Private sector, bring that type of technology and that type of money into Oakland. So we've heard that in some of the other meetings as well. So thanks for bringing that up.
I have a question for the commission. I'm not sure you remember, a few years ago, we had a, citywide business strike. So all these small businesses. So, lately I've been talking to them, I'm not completely in China as well. Minimum, they are frustrated, because of crime, they are mostly impacted. So is there any way that they can be reaching out to them so that they can have more, whatever opinion they may have? So that be part of this,
We have a survey. I mean, there are a lot of people who are still working or can't, have
Yes.
families to take care of, or can't be here. So we do have a survey on with these questions.
yeah, so it would be good to have this outreach to many of the small businesses. I mean, throughout a lot of small businesses in East Oakland, West Oakland, downtown, uptown, so it would be good that they can be outreached by.
Well, I would say in addition to that, before the process, after the process is over, if you select your next police chief, it'd be good for that chief to meet with all those folks too, to hear the business side and what they're concerned about.
And I'm not sure if you had it in the beginning, aside from hearing from those groups, right? Not only for the, as you mentioned, not only for the police chief process, but we'll touch base afterwards, because I definitely, part of just my style, I want to get on the streets, I want to be able to meet people. During that business strike, I was actually working with the Fruitville merchants at that time, that they were getting hit hard too.
Yeah, so I'm talking about many of those convenience stores are very frustrated too.
Yeah, and I think maybe, to your point, one of the first things the new chief does is walk with the chair of the police commission, the chair of the Measure NN, right, and Department of Violence Prevention, and actually get out and show that the city's all in one, working together and getting out and meeting all the small businesses.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that was cool of Chief Mitchell, because Chief Mitchell, Brenda put together a form for the business. 7-Eleven was talking about leaving. And so she put an immediate form against business owners in 7-Eleven group. And so Chief Mitchell and Ursula Jones Dixon came and addressed that. And it was really successful. It's a big meeting and it was really successful. Follow up through on that. It's really good.
Yeah. Okay, to close today, anything we didn't cover that you think is critical in regards to selecting your next police chief? Anything that we did not cover yet?
What time did it start?
What time?
Did it start?
Oh. That's a good question. Anything else? Yes.
Good question. Have our governor weighed in on our situation? And
He hasn't called me,
Okay,
so
Governor?
he might be a little busy right now.
Yeah. He's not even here, okay?
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you. We were getting a little worried at first. There was nobody in here and then all y'all came in. So thank you for taking your time. I know you guys listening to me live.
You should have my advice.
Thanks, Marty, for taking notes. Thank you, Chief of Staff, for organizing. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce, for the Oakland Asian Cultural Center for hosting us.
Yeah.
Twan, thank you for reaching out to me and to some of your constituents. I love seeing y'all in the back. Ms. Grisham everywhere, and continue to engage. That's the only way we can do this is together, and we want to work together. I have some business cards that we can say.
I would like to say one thing, please, Stephanie. Hello, thank you. Her and Pamela from the Oakland Asian Cultural Center, they didn't just host, they sponsored us. They made it so that there was no cost for us to have this for the community, and thank you so, no, really, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Get the ground flyer, survey link on it.